What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm JLAG and I'm here with
NBEA.
And we are recapping and reviewing American Crime Story, the Assassination of Gianni Versace, episode 8, and it's called
Creator/Destroyer.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, I guess whatever. So
go.
Guys,
We've been sipping on that Haterade
saddest-
all season.
saddest
So
season.
basically where we ended off last week's podcast, we both were kind of just like that we're not feeling the season.
We've had
we feel
it.
like especially with the title, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, the season hasn't really been about the system and how they let Andrew slip through the cracks, right?
Exactly.
It's been all about Andrew's psyche,
which
Andrew's
is what
history.
we were expecting. We were expecting that as the season because it's
For
called
like an
American
episode or
Crime
two
Story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which and I'm down for Andrew's story for like maybe an episode or maybe
Yeah.
two. His
Yeah.
childhood, cool, but like I didn't need an entire episode on it. And also, it's like they heard us last week
Yeah.
and they
I was
gave us like
oh my God,
Gianni's
sweet.
history, like his little childhood lasted for like
For
4
the first
seconds.
3 minutes.
Yeah, it was like done. I was
that
like,
was it.
okay.
So that's how the story kind of starts. It starts off with him in Calabria, where he's from, and him as a young boy learning to draw and like being interested in
Like
drawing
fashion
and
and
fashion
art, yeah.
and drawing his mom, and his mom is a dressmaker. So you learn a little bit about that. Then you just cut back to Andrew as a young boy, and then it just continues. Just tell the story about Andrew.
I love like juxtaposition. I love that idea.
Sure, same.
But I feel like, why are you comparing these two
What?
right now?
Why?
Like,
Yeah. Where?
like you're making
where
me
is
feel
the-
some type of way, but there's nothing. He killed him, and
Yeah.
and I get why he probably killed him. I don't really care. I just want to know, why didn't Miami PD or the FBI find this guy earlier? He killed 5 people or 4 before
Right.
Gianni. Why? Why? I don't really care about, oh, his dad was mean to him.
And I guess that's the thing. Like, if you really like break it down based on what we've seen versus what we want to see, it's less of a compelling story, probably.
Yeah,
Like,
this isn't
really-
Dexter.
realistically.
Like, to me, Dexter was like, you want to know his backstory because he's an anti-hero. He's a semi good character,
Right.
And you want to know his
Right.
childhood and how he got all messed up. But no, I don't really care
Andrew
about
Cunanan
Andrew
is
Cunanan.
not an anti-hero
No,
in any
he's just
shape,
a
way, or
psychopath.
form. Like, am I missing something? And people thinking that we should have sympathy for this
Or
serial
once
killer?
again, like I said, then just title it "The Life and Times of Andrew
Andrew
Cunanan."
Cunanan,
Like,
exactly.
just say that. Like,
So we got a tweet last week because we asked you guys all the time,
sure.
whoever's listening to our podcast, to really reach out and let us know what your guys' opinion. And they said to us, I disagree with your review of Versace. The title isn't The Life of Gianni Versace, which has been done before. It's about the assassination. So in order to do that, we must go deep into the psyche.
Psyche.
I think he meant psyche of the murderer to figure out the motive. The series does it brilliantly. I agree. It does do it well. It really does do it well. But the point that we're trying to make is what we just said, and the point is this story supposed to be told? Like, should I care about
do you
this
really
story?
want the motive?
Do I want to know?
Do you really want the motive? I think you can kind of piece together the motive.
Right.
And guys, we don't really know the motive for real though. Like,
Everything
they're
is
telling us-
fabricated.
exactly, they're
So much of it is
fabricated.
fabricated.
If they had an interview post murder and like interviewed Andrew and broke him down, and they had a legit motive, like they knew these
Right.
stories, fine, okay, tell me the facts,
Right.
spill the facts. But like, this is not even. We don't even know for sure.
All of these stories that we're seeing and we're watching are very, very highly dramatized.
Yeah.
So that part of it too makes me feel like you're doing a disservice to the people that were actually murdered by trying to tell a partially fictionalized history of a serial murderer.
Right.
If you look at anybody else, if you look at
and then claim that we're diving into the whole psyche behind Andrew Cunanan and this
right.
is really the story.
This is
okay,
really
but
the
you
story.
don't know that.
But you don't really
though.
know for sure, 100%, because it's not fully.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not fully documented. Maybe it. Okay, listen. Like, because there were so many moments in this episode where, because it really dives deep into his childhood and all these things, the only people that I can think of that would really know these answers are his father and his mother.
Right.
If they're still alive and if they were available to have those interviews. And if those were the only people, you're only getting one skewed perspective. So if the writers decided to take those interviews, if they do exist, and pull together a script or a story, then this is what we got. okay, I'm trying to like really break it down to like all the biopics that I love or like all the other shows that I like.
Did they do this with OJ? OJ's was not.
Yes, yeah.
Why
I know.
did he
We've
kill
said that from
Nicole
day one.
and Ron?
Right.
It was how did the system
and if that was the show,
to convict him?
If that was the show, y'all, they would not be getting all of the awards that they got in that season. Like, think about the story that would have been told. The story would have been told, the justification for the murder of 2 people. Like, think about it that way.
Exactly.
So he got away with murder.
And then now you're going
Simpson.
into OJ's like childhood. You're like, see, his dad was like abusive.
His dad was abusive, and he was a megalomaniac.
Like, that's why he killed.
That's why he killed Nicole Simpson Brand. Like, that's it. Like
I apply the same lens to this season, and it just doesn't.
It just doesn't make sense.
I don't get it.
It doesn't make sense.
Because you guys went from like examining a system and how a system failed to like now how a character like was like.
It's
born
literally
and,
called American Crime Story. You're telling me in that title, you're not assuming that you're going to dive deep into the murders and what happened, not the psyche. Don't care about the psyche.
Like, you mean like the actual system and how they did not catch him.
Exactly. I just don't think that it was misleading.
Yeah.
And I really wish that I didn't assume what I assumed going into the season.
Well, I think it's like fair to assume that.
Right.
I think it was. I think. What are you gonna do? Like, that's what you're. First of all the branding, guys, is Versace. Like everywhere. Like all the commercials, it's like cloaked in Versace colors and the emblem. So they're selling you on that, and it's flashy and it's beautiful, of course.
Exactly.
Like, caught my eye, but I just feel like a little duped that like it's not really about him.
It's not really about him, exactly. And I think that's unfair for us to really not like. I don't think it's fair for us to not feel this way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
at the same time, I love how people respond on the opposite end.
Yeah, 100%.
And like him, he loves it.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair to hear that other side of it.
But
and if you really do enjoy the way that the story is being told, like
I want to be proven wrong. Like every week, guys, I want to be proven wrong and to be like, oh my god, look, they came through.
Right.
But we're now like one episode till the season finale.
Right.
And especially
it's
this
not
last
gonna change
week,
now.
It was all about his childhood.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay, this is it. Like I accepted it.
Exactly. And you would think that at this point in time, if we wanted to get the story that we were expecting to get, we would have gotten it by now. But Versace,
yeah,
you know, we get this like 5-minute thing in the intro of his
like,
childhood, and that was it.
Where's the girl from Orange Is the New Black? She was like in one episode.
Yeah, exactly. Like it really took us on a twist as to what we were to expect, and then we didn't get it for the rest of the season. That's all I'm saying. For the second half of the season, or not even first 3 episodes, maybe were different, and like I was expecting a certain like final storyline, and then it just kept going backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards.
They did a Navy SEAL storyline.
Yeah. Like
take that in. That was in the season.
It was a full storyline of like Jeff's background, and then, and like I said, it's the way the story was told. The story was told backwards. So, you know, you see him getting murdered, and then I'm supposed to feel bad about him 4 episodes later.
Yeah, when you don't even know him at that point.
What show does that? What show kills off a character and then makes you feel some type of way after the fact?
Game of Thrones. Ned Stark.
But that's
whole nother level. But yeah, it's possible. I think it's possible to tell a story this way. It just didn't work this time. Right. I don't know. It just didn't work.
Right. But like Jeff didn't even have any lines. Like you can't even compare it to Game of Thrones because
it's true.
Like he had like 2 lines. Like, oh, I'm just gonna leave, and like maybe he knows that we're dating, and then he fucking bashes his brains out, and then we only see him in flashbacks. So like.
These are the moments where I'm like, I wish I could call it Brian Murphy and be like,
what did you
happened?
Do? Why did you do it this way? Honestly, I really do think
I wish he was my friend.
You know, you did mention it in last week's podcast that you feel like something went wrong in the production, or they really creatively decided like this is how we're going to tell the story,
and it went sort of like the opposite way, direction,
you know. And I really believe that especially after watching like to the end, we're like we've pulled through. We're not. It's not like we're just like watching
episode
this
3, like
I'm
Dunzo.
Literally like sitting and watching all 40 minutes and like really trying to pay attention to like the story and really understanding it. And I'm not saying that what I watched wasn't bad. This episode was interesting to see his side of it, to see his dad like be who he is and learn that his dad was such a con artist. But even if okay, and that's the thing too. Okay,
But we've seen
fine.
these stories before too.
Listen,
it's not even that unique.
if you want us to like really be like, okay, I'm gonna suspend my belief and like really like follow through on this whole like Andrew Cunanan as a murderer, like get into the mind of a murderer, fine. You're telling me the reason why he became who he is and became like a serial murderer and a liar is because his dad lied to him one time? Like one time he's like I like praised my dad and he like was like he made me feel like I was the world.
I think
and
he's
then
a
the very
murderer.
end he like just lies about that one thing and I'm like, that's the beginning of Andrew Cunanan's lying.
Yeah.
Like
Here's
why?
the thing.
Why?
You don't know why he's a murderer. You don't know why. You can't tell me that you know the reason why.
Exactly.
You can't tell me that's because of his father. You can't tell me what. Yeah, his father definitely glowed up Andrew his whole life, and he has this idea that he's the perfect. I don't know, but we don't know that for sure, guys. And at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah,
I do not care. I don't care about Andrew's story. I don't care. He killed 5 people. I don't want to feel sorry for him. I don't want to feel, like, yeah, his dad was, well, you know what? Life's fucking hard.
Yeah,
okay? Everyone's parents are shitty.
Blow everybody's brains out. Like what the
people's lives are hard.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you go kill 5 people.
Yeah,
I don't care.
And
don't
strategically,
make me,
like if you do watch the story that we did watch, he purposely chose every single person except for the person who like unfortunately died in the like crossfire of it all. He purposely chose every single person, literally brutally murdered most of them or shot them like dead ass in the face. Like, you have no sympathy for people if you're really thinking that way. And it doesn't even matter if you got beat as a child or this, and this. It's like that movie. The only one that I can really compare this to is that movie Monster by...
the one with
Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Where she plays, and it's a real story about a woman who basically went around and killed truck drivers and like other men because she felt like she was wronged as a young woman.
Right.
Her story was compelling.
But that's her story, though.
And her story was compelling because it really does come from a place of abuse. It comes from a place of like constant physical damage.
I'm not saying he didn't have a hard life. I'm just saying Monster, like you're saying, was called Monster because it's her story. This is not his story. Like this is a Gianni Versace story. This is not an Andrew Cunanan story.
Sure.
At the end of the day, Andrew Cunanan's story, yes, it's interesting, 100%. Give it to me in a biopic, fine, but don't give it to me in a labeled Gianni Versace story.
Right.
That's my issue.
Yes, I agree.
That's my issue.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. And also, yeah, I don't know. And also, I don't care for his motive. I don't really care for like the reason why he like went and killed 5 people because I don't think that it's ever like justified. Ever.
The episode was still interesting, I have to say, like seeing his life and stuff. Fine, cool. So the gist of it is basically like their life in San Diego. Right. I didn't even know he had siblings.
It seems like, and
where are they?
My
afterwards?
assumption is siblings were likely from a Filipino wife, and he like had to take them in. That's why they were much older than Andrew.
Oh, like they were the dad's previous kids.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Why did you assume that?
Because I feel like that happens a lot in the Philippines. As a half Filipino, I feel like that's like something that I see a lot of. Like one family's there, and then the other family like comes in, and like that whole idea of glowing up the one who's like North American or partially white, like is always. That storyline is a real thing. It happens all the time. I feel like, especially with foreign families, like that whole idea of like having that like.
I was wondering
Caucasian,
why he wasn't as on the other kids,
right?
But the fact that maybe because Andrew is full American, like that makes sense.
Exactly.
I didn't know that they weren't American.
Yeah. I mean, this is me assuming this.
So all those things are very interesting too. 100%. Like
Sure.
when he buys this new house for them, and he gives the master bedroom to Andrew.
Right.
Like what? Like you have 2 other kids. Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
And even the mom says that, right? Like even at one point, the dad.
She's like, "Why did you get the car for
He gives
Andrew
a freaking new car. Andrew's like 13 years old.
Right.
She's like, you have like 2 kids before him. Like why would you give him the car?
Yeah.
So you can see it, but at the same time, I'm like, well, how do I know this is not real? Again, I'm questioning that. But
I'm questioning the whole thing. Like that's what I wrote down. I was like, him beating him, like beating the mom up, like on the side. When like how aggressive was he? Was she really that crazy? Like was he really that aggressive to her?
They go to he flies back to Manila because he escapes like the FBI.
Right.
It became like Wolf of Wall Street all of a sudden, like this like show.
Yeah.
He escapes to Manila.
He hides
Andrew
out.
like goes and finds him. They almost kill each other. I'm like, did that really happen though?
Yeah.
Like what?
You'll never
What
know
is
that
happening?
story. It was highly dramatized and it was compelling to watch, but it's not true. Like there's a difference between a biopic and there's a difference between like basically fantasy. Like this is all, and that's the thing. This is
unless
all
the dad said that, like,
you know,
is his dad alive? Like, I don't even know.
maybe, but like that's the thing. It's highly dramatized. Like he came to my place and he got really angry, and then he pulled the knife on me and like this and this, and he couldn't even do it. Like everything that happens is not really. It's all fictional. Like to me, it's all fictionalized, and that's the thing that I think frustrates me the most about this story is there are 5 major facts in the story. Every single person that died, that died is murdered. Those are real facts. Those are hard, cold facts. Why couldn't we have focused? Was that not enough material to focus on? Was that not enough? Like,
nah, we got to go to Manila.
Yeah, now you got to go to Manila and tell like some fictional story where he like bumps into his dad and like meets him and talks to him and like.
And his dad calls him a sissy boy.
And then he comes back and then he's like really upset about everything.
See, like even that, like you're trying to make me feel sorry for him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care about his life, and I don't care about how badly he was treated. And here's the thing: if we really want to break it down, I look at his life and I looked at his past this
like
whole
the
time.
siblings should have become murderers.
Yo, it wasn't that fucking bad. Like
living in San Diego.
You're living in San Diego. You were going to a private school. You got into the best schools when you were growing up, and then your life was shattered. Oh no, what a fucking life! Like I'm so sorry to hear about your sad truth, and like that's what compelled
Everyone's
you
life is hard.
to get murdered,
like,
to murder 5 different people.
Yeah,
that is not fair for me to like make that assumption to be like okay. Or not me to make that assumption, but like to make the assumption that just because you had this particular life and you couldn't get through it, that this is what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like it's never just, you can never justify murdering somebody.
I also think I also think there's genetics involved too.
Sure.
I definitely feel like his dad was crazy and his mom is crazy.
Right.
So like genetically too, I feel like there's some sort of imbalance in him. For sure.
Yeah.
He has bipolar. He has depression.
Then they should have focused on that.
For sure.
100% they should have focused on that.
Because that he can't change or that he can't help.
And that I would have
genetic like
that
makeup,
I probably would have like felt a little bit more sorry for him.
Yeah, it's true.
And been like, okay, he can't help it. He can't figure himself out. Yo, your life is your life. Your life is hard.
He was like a really smart kid.
He had a lot of things going for him. And like, yeah, his life kind of imploded in front of him, but he was a grown adult when it happened, and you can move forward healthily if you took those moments in a good way. But you're telling me that just because his dad,
or even if they showed that, like his mom not taking him to a therapist, or his mom missing the therapist meetings, like even that, those again, things. The system and how the system fails to find someone like Andrew. Exactly. Right? Again, it's all about that, but that's that's the thing. Like,
if it wasn't the true story, then fuck, what was the true story in this whole thing? Make that shit up too. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to tell that story because like you're like, oh, I'm not really sure if he ever went to a psychiatrist. Well, bitch, did he ever go to Manila and talk to his dad and like have a full conversation with him? We don't know. So why don't you just put that in just to like make us feel satisfied that like maybe he's got some mental psychoses going on, to be like, okay, when you have a mental issue, that to me is understandable, because those are things that I feel are hard to really comprehend, and people, it's really out of people's controls. When I look at some people's past and telling a story like, oh, like little violin, like play for me because like, you know, like I had a hard life, and then you like fast forward like to when he murders 5 people. No. What are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? What is the purpose of this? Are you telling like everybody in America when they watch this show, what are you trying to tell me?
That an immigrant family has it so hard that they might mess up their kid a little bit and he might kill 5 people.
Right. Exactly. Is that what, because that's what I'm taking away from this.
On top of that, he's closeted gay. So, for sure he's going to kill 5 people.
100%. Like no. Being gay is like the worst thing too, because like he had to hide it the whole time. No, man. And the entire time you're comparing it to Versace having this gifted life. He had his troubles too, I'm sure. He wasn't just like, it wasn't just handed to him in this and this. Every freaking person in the world has their own troubles and their own struggles. Maybe he had a little bit easier, sure. Maybe he found the right people. Maybe he like was able to like glow himself up a little bit better. Like, I don't know the documentary of Versace's life, because shit, I didn't get to watch it. This whole season I didn't get to see it.
I thought I was gonna get to watch it, but
I'll never know until I watch some next movie about Versace's life. You know, like at this point I'm never gonna really know about his like his trials and tribulations. This is called the assassination
guys,
of Gianni Versace.
Exactly. That's what we're saying. It's the way they've labeled and marketed the show that made us feel like we were going to get one show, and now we've gotten a totally different show. That's the issue. There's no issue with Andrew's story. Yeah, I could have watched it on another documentary series. Yeah. Fine, cool. But like, then just title it that way.
Right.
Don't be lying to me.
I don't know.
Sorry, guys. I hate to like always be ranting and mad. But I feel like
we're never like this normally.
Listen to our Riverdale podcast. We're like cracking up and having a great time. But we do love this series. We do hold Ryan Murphy to like the highest pedestal. So like we do expect a certain level from him, and feeling like you're a little duped and tricked by like the marketing and the branding of the season. I feel like it's a little like upsetting. But
I really want to know, like, we've wanted to know that other side. So I did appreciate like reading the tweet that we got this week.
I did, yeah.
Because I really wanted to see what other people are like pulling from this and understanding from this or taking from this. And maybe we've been so stuck in this mindset of like expecting something and feeling disappointed, and accepting something and feeling disappointed, instead of like just letting go and letting us watch. But the only reason why you're expecting
something is because the show is called a certain thing,
and it was marketed.
It looks like a certain thing. That's why you're expecting that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have expected it, and you would have been like, okay, what a good show.
Don't give me those glimpses. Just tell me that this was a story of Andrew Cunanan. Like, it really does feel like we were tricked into thinking that like Versace was the high profile case that followed Andrew Cunanan.
And that's the thing, right? How unfair is this if you do say that this show is called The Assassination of Gianni Versace, and that's why it's following Andrew because he killed... Okay, but he killed 5 other people. Yeah. So then go and like do all of that too.
Right,
But you've only covered it off like once, like twice.
I mean, they did cover off like a lot of Jeff's... We saw more of Jeff, I feel, than we saw of Versace. Like, it should have been called The Assassination of Jeff.
Seriously.
Like, and Jeff and David, you know? Like, at that point, we saw so much more of his relationship and his past in that particular world than Versace. The only reason why he became infamous is because his name is attached to the death of one of the biggest designers in the world. And that's why this show was created in the first place. And they marketed it that way. They set us up for that, and they didn't give it to us. That's the tea. That's just the truth of it all. So... Anyway, we're going to get to the finale next week, and...
so be sure to stick around for that. Should be exciting.
Guys, honestly, if I listened to our podcast for this series, like, back-to-back, it'd be like, whoop, 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 whoop. Such a Debbie Downer storyline.
But here's the thing. I think when you listen to us, guys, I think you always are going to get the realest... message from us in our like expressions and of what we thought, our opinion. Like, we're not going to give you a fake ass like, oh my god, it was great, it was like plugging up and glowing up the show. Like, no, that's not what we're about. Like, I'm going to tell you. And how trust I really me, feel. I would
want to. Like, this is a story that I was so excited to tell, and like hear, like, even with the whole LGBT like angle of it, and even the beginning of the show, seeing kind of pieces of it, I was like, oh, it's a really cool storyline, and seeing how this is all going to go. And then it just kind of took a complete turn. So I can't lie to myself and think that I'm like, oh no, but it's gonna get good. Oh no, but it's okay. Oh, but like, I'm gonna just justify it because like the music's really nice. Like, no, this is the show, and I was expecting something, didn't get it. And while the story is relatively compelling, I'm still not buying all of it, and also it's just not what I wanted at all. So yeah, season finale next week, and that's it. If you guys enjoy what we're saying or don't enjoy what we're saying, please join the conversation at recap_rewind on Twitter. Also follow us on Instagram. We got stuff going on there. And definitely check out our YouTube channel for a bunch of different content as well. Make sure you guys just engage. We want to hear all you got to say about everything. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.